again from Magha, and we would continue till Ashlesha. That is the second set of nakshatras to be covered in this set that we present from today. So, what does Magha state? As we start with Magha, Magha states that a person having a planet in this nakshatra of Magha shows a tendency towards genetic engineering, shows a tendency to understand the human psychology or to understand more about humans in general. And what gives this nakshatra that ability? Well, Magha is ruled by Pitris as its deities. With a strong connect with its genes, Magha is bound to show some connection to the human life, and the education bit comes from Ketu. Ketu, as is also the Karaka for knowledge, and it is also thin. It has a helix-like structure, helix structure of the DNA. So this also imparts certain amount of qualities in the direction of trying to learn about human evolution and human development. Let us take a few charts and confirm our theories. The Magha Nakshatra Sutra states that if there is any planet or ascendant in Magha Nakshatra, then that aspect of the planet shows the ability to do research and become a scientist, especially a genetic scientist. So let us take up the case of Jean Piaget. Jean Piaget was a Swiss psychologist and epistemologist known for his pioneering work in child development. His theory of conjunctive development and epistemological view are together called genetic epistemology. Piaget placed great importance on the education of children. He has been known to categorically state that the only way we can save the societies is by education, nothing else. If you want to save the society from violence or from gradual downfall and decay, the only thing that you can do is to educate people. His history of child development is studied in pre-service education programs, and educators still inculcate a number of his theories into their programs to teach children. Now let us see what in his Magha made him such a good educator. He has his Mercury, Ketu and Venus sitting there in Magha, giving Magha such a lot of power and potency. Venus, which is the Lagna Lord defining self, and the sixth Lord of service, selfless service and discretion, sitting in Magha Nakshatra. Mercury, the second Lord of education, the fifth Lord of creativity and children, and also applied knowledge, sitting right there. Ketu is all about genes. It is about genetic, and it is a Karaka of research. So many planets sitting in the fourth house of maternal instinct and education, bound to make him a great educator with a lot of love and affection for children. Fifth house is also the house of foresight and crisis management, reflecting his ideas that education was the only savior for this planet. Our next chart is that of Frederick Robbins. Frederick Robbins is said to be that American scientist and physician pediatrician who won the Nobel Prize along with Ender and Bella for medicine and psychology in 1954. The award that he won was for his breakthrough work in isolation and growth of poliovirus, paving the way for vaccine development by Jonas Salk, Albert Seven, etc. He attended school at the University of Missouri and Harvard University. He was a very accomplished person and again a very understated personality. He liked doing his work with a lot of grace and quiet. So let us see what in Magha made him do this research. Sun, the Lord of the 12th house, is placed in its own house representing hospitals, services, charity, and complications of health and diseases. Sun is also the Karaka of the soul, and sitting in the 12th house, it does direct the soul towards connecting with the universal powers to help people in the last times, in hospitals, in charities, and many such work. It is in the nakshatra of Magha, which denotes the genetic trend. So, using the universal powers given to him to genetically find out research and to get the knowledge was something he was born to do. Frederick's research was one of its kind, and it was one that gave him and others after him a lot of power to break through a lot of diseases, being aspected by a retrograde Jupiter, which does not conform with traditionality. It gave him the power to think out of box and to make a breakthrough in the world of medicine. Sir Francis Galton, worth a mention anywhere. So, Sir Francis Galton was an English Victorian era statistician, progressive person, a sociologist, a psychologist, an anthropologist, a eugenicist, the word he coined himself, a tropical explorer, geographer, inventor, meteorologist, protogeneticist, and so much more. He was the first person to have introduced the art and the knowledge of classifying fingerprints, and we know how important fingerprints are. But this is not the only thing in his repertoire, in his resume. He has so much more. He was the one who started collecting data, asked questions during surveys, and he collected the human data, saying it was important for his need of genealogical studies and biographical work and his anthropological studies. He was the pioneer in eugenesis, which he himself has coined the term, and he says the phrase that he has coined is nature versus nurture. So how do you nurture and what is the nature imparted? His book Hereditary Genius was the first social scientific attempt to study genius and greatness. Mars, which is the lord of the third house of subconscious mind and the eighth house of research, transformation. Mars is also the eighth lord of discovery and spirituality. Mars is also the eighth lord of resurrection. Being the third lord of hands, it is also associated with the third house lord, our co-lord Ketu. Ketu is knowledge, Ketu is moksha, Ketu is also prosperity. Ketu, as we all know, is great in the 12th house because it gives a person great deal of powers, especially the ability to connect with the universal forces. And the Pitris are very much a strong part of the universal forces. So this gave him a great connect, not just with the universal forces, but also provided him with the passion to study and to further his cause and to further the cause of humanity, taking humanity on to a different level altogether. If we have a planet in Magha, it gives us immense ability to pursue something regarding hereditary. We may not all aspire to become biogenetic scientists or botanists or physicists, but we can always find out our own traditions, our own culture and heritage, and show a lot of interest in reviving them. If you are interested in the nakshatras, do watch out for my course which is going on. With a strong regard for our own lineage and tradition, keep the thought going and stay safe.